Welcome to the ANEW Insight Podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogram Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. I follow my guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Hello and welcome to the ANEW Insight Podcast. I am Dr. Supatra Tovar, and I am thrilled to have trauma survivor, healing innovator, and mental health trailblazer, Brad Silberman, with us today. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor and a privilege.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
So I'm going to read a little bit about Brad, and then we're going to get right into the questions. Bradley Dean Silberman is an author, speaker, and entrepreneur who turned a life-altering trauma into a mission to help others. After surviving a brutal assault that left him with severe brain damage, he embarked on a journey of healing through coaching, integrated therapies, and meditation. This experience led him to create Rewire, an at-home ketamine-assisted therapy service designed to make mental health care more accessible. His book, Be the Bubble, shares his story of resilience and introduces a framework for personal transformation. Brad, welcome.
Thank you so much. So good to be here.
Yes, we are so excited because your story is just so unique and, frankly, very traumatic. And so I would love, if you don't mind, sharing this traumatic event with our audience and how it changed your life and how it shaped your mindset.
Please, absolute pleasure. So just more than 20 years ago in South Africa, I went to a nightclub to celebrate a friend's birthday. Just before that, I was actually studying engineering and mathematics, and I was an athlete. I was a rugby player. That was my life. All of a sudden, to the best of my knowledge, I woke up one, I don't know what day or time it was, with all tubes in every orifice of my body. And I could barely see what was going on. Everything was blurry, couldn't even hear much. But what I do recall, my family running in crying. They could not believe I'd opened my eyes. Okay? And I just looked and I kept on telling me what had happened. I did not understand anything. I didn't believe it. And soon I realized that what they were telling me was actually true, because I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, couldn't understand much, couldn't speak, breathe, or moan, bath, or do anything. And that was the real trauma of it all, was that being in this body, not knowing what the hell was I walking into, what was coming. They told me that a couple of weeks prior to that time, I went out to a nightclub celebrating a friend's birthday, and I was beaten up by bouncers unprovoked. So I'm like, I didn't understand what had happened because I've never been a fighter. I've always been that lover, right? And they said that it was actually one of my black friends that was kicked out of the club, and he went on about racism, etc., etc. And I was the guy that was trying to calm the situation down, because I'm more of the bigger type of guys, maybe a leader of the group, and I was just trying to settle everyone and calm it down, not fight. And they attacked me and smashed my head on the curb of the pavement. Thank the good Lord that my friends threw me into the vehicle that we were in and rushed me to hospital, because apparently if I had arrived 7 minutes later, I would have died.
Wow. So
apparently, because I had trauma in my body, I started vomiting, but because I was knocked out, I was drowning in my own vomit, so I couldn't release the vomit or the liquid. So that's one of the many things that really the tragedies of what happened. Another message that I remember is that either the neurosurgeon or the trauma surgeon told my parents if Brad wakes up, you can expect him to be blowing bubbles in the corner for the rest of his life, being a vegetable. So my recovery, thank God that I recovered fully, and I'm a better man to enable my passion and power to enhance other people's lives.
Holy cow. It's unbelievable that you can suffer that big of an injury to your brain and come back and be completely mobile, walking, talking, memory is good, everything is functioning. Can you please tell our audience what you did in order to be this functional?
Well, thank you for the compliment. Much appreciated. So I think beyond anything, whatever I did, I think the key element was my mindset. I had no negativity, not one piece of negative anything in my mind, in my heart, or in my soul. Somehow, maybe it was because I was brain damaged, I'm not sure. I just accepted what had happened to me as a universal lesson, that this needs to happen to me in order for me to become who I need to become. Mm-hmm. So that's one element of, I believe, why I recovered miraculously. Another element was that I had thousands of people praying for me every morning and every evening around the world. This was before social media, before Facebook. So my brother actually made like a website of people to send in, positive messages, and there was just every minute thousands of messages, and people were just praying for my recovery, and obviously the medical care, the medical attention. But through the journey, it took quite a long time for me to actually become independent on my own, number one, and that was more the Western approach to medical care. So it took me about 3 years to learn how to walk, talk, eat, and breathe on my own, where I was sufficient on my own. And I actually started studying again. I did a Bachelor of Commerce and Entrepreneurship and Management. I was actually brain damaged when I actually started it, and the neurosurgeon says, please don't do this because your brain, you're going to damage your brain, it's not ready. I'm like, I'm the get up and at it type of guy, and I'm like, I need to do this. So I think he was right and wrong. Right in the fact that it was really hard for me to do that. I used to read for literally a minute and actually sleep it off for 3 weeks. I had headaches and migraines that no tablet, pill, injection would relieve. So only sleep would relieve that. But anyway, I managed to get through it. It took me about 7 years to actually get that degree. And in between that time, I also started businesses of healthcare and massaging and healing and corporate wellness event companies, and I just whatever came across my pathway, I was determined to just succeed,
Wow. So really, I think the primary driver was your mindset.
Yeah.
And you stated that you had zero negative attitude when this happened. How did you develop this type of mindset? Because I think that that's very difficult for people. And I think it is a goal for a lot of people to try to change their mindset. So did you have this prior to the accident, or did the accident help to fuel a positive mindset?
I think we are all born, with certain tendencies and the way we feel and think about things. But through life's journey, it pushes us to become who we are actually meant to become. So I believe that we're all actually searching for who we already are, actually. Mm-hmm. And that search is right in front of our noses. And something like this that happened to me allows you to reach that destination sooner than you would have thought. Right. So what really pushed me over the edge of creating this type of mentality was that I did go through huge amounts of alternative wellness approaches to healing. Just an example of what I went through was that on a conscious level, because my attitude was so great, mm-hmm. I recovered miraculously on the Western side of medical care, like everything was great. But deep inside, I was suffering. And I was going to the toilet, number 2, excuse my French, 35 times a day, and my body was failing me. But on the blood tests and everything, I was perfect. Okay, so I decided to reach out to alternative approaches to wellness, and I went to regression under hypnotherapy.
Wow.
Okay, and obviously a lot of homeopathic medications to heal just my body, right? And through this journey, I actually had a non-medicated psychedelic experience
Wow.
where I went to a place in this hypnotic state where it was the most beautiful place I'd ever been to. I never knew where it was. I was there for 5 minutes, but it felt like I'd been there for a lifetime.
What was it like? How would you describe it?
It was the first time I'd ever connected with who I was without any other energies present. I saw myself for who I am. I saw myself for why I was born and my mission, and I loved myself. And I kind of understood my human compass of why I'm here.
And why
And
is
where
it?
was I? I was in a bubble on a cloud. Hence the name Be the Bubble. And from that experience, it kind of made sense about why I had been through what I'd been through and what I need to do and how I should face life. And it gave me a motivation to publish my book and write my book and share my story to help people face life and challenges. No story is comparable. My story is not comparable to your story. Everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a hardship and a challenge. It's not comparable. It happens to us because it happens to us and what we have to deal with. It's about how we face that, how we deal with it, how we overcome it, and how we improve ourselves and the lives around us.
And so, if you could say in a couple sentences what you gleaned as your purpose, what is it?
In a couple of sentences. How many? No. So what is my purpose? Is that the question? My purpose is to uplift other people, to make people realize that they are awesome just the way they are. They do not need to achieve anything more than just being. And when they realize that, they find themselves, they live a purpose-driven world in life, and they become happy, because isn't life about happiness?
And love. I think life is truly about love.
100%.
Let's talk about Be the Bubble. I want to just do a little aside, but I think it's so interesting that you were in this bubble, because when I'm doing therapy with my clients, I ask them, and it's kind of silly, but I ask them who's the most powerful character in The Wizard of Oz.
Wow.
And if I were to ask you that, who is it?
Yourself.
No, in The Wizard of Oz, who's the most powerful character?
Who? You tell me.
Glinda. Because she directs everything, right? She directs Dorothy to go where she needs to go. She wakes them up when they fall asleep in the poppy fields. She's the one who imparts the wisdom on Dorothy at the end of how she can get home. But the most interesting part of her is that she travels in a bubble.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And that's her protection.
That's so interesting.
I want to know, Be the Bubble. You were in a bubble in this non-drug-induced psychedelic experience. Explain the book for us.
Explain the book. So just before I do that, if I may, why did I write the book? And how did I write it? I went to speak to a leader of a community in South Africa and about my story in my book. And a couple of days later, he phoned me and said, "Oh my goodness, that was amazing. You need to share your story everywhere you go. It was brilliant." And this guy deals with, the best brains in the world, right? So that gave me motivation to write the book. I decided that I'm going to create a meeting every single day before work, an hour and a half, 90 minutes before I start work, with me and my book, and let me write it. And that's how I wrote it. And this was during the COVID. So Be the Bubble essentially exists of 6 different discoveries of how we face life. They all interlink to one another to enable you to face life. Okay? So the 5th discovery is actually Be the Bubble. What Be the Bubble actually is that it's all about the time frame right now that I am in this protective, transparent bubble where I'm the captain of my own ship. But in order for me to make and to sail myself in the correct path, I need to let go of the past. Okay? All the trauma, all the negativities, all the things that I feel that I'm holding on to that's not allowing me to be free and be present, I need to let go. How do we let go?
You tell me.
How would you let go?
Well, that's a tough one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
This is what I work with my clients on in terms of being present in the now. I find that most people are either caught in the past, worried about the future, or both. And I try to get people in the now, to remember that now is the only time that we have. And I do that through connecting them with their senses, through, just basic observation of the present moment. And when they do this in a grounding exercise, they usually emerge from it at peace, calm, and happy.
I love
you tell
that.
me.
So before I get into how we let go well, just how the book presents itself, is that the time frame right now, the present, right now exists the past, the present, and the future, all compressed into now, right? So in order for us to make the best decision about now and be in the present, we need to let go by forgiving into love. And how we do that is from the previous discoveries of Be the Bubble. The first discovery is perception versus attitude. How I see things is how I behave and my attitude towards things. So that's the first discovery. Okay? Everything that's happened to me before this has happened for me, not to me. And that's what Be the Bubble presents to the reader. So when we understand and we have that mind frame, we can let go by understanding that what happened to me because it made me a better person and it was meant to happen to me. It's a stepping stone for me to summit my mountain. Right? It didn't happen to me, it happened for me. So we can let go by forgiving into love, by actually realizing that whatever happened and whatever we're holding on, we need to be grateful for. Okay?
I love that.
Okay? By being in the present and now. This is when we're in the bubble. So now we've forgotten about the past. We're focusing on the future. Now we have a problem about we're focusing on the present. But now we have a problem about the future. What if I don't achieve? What if I fail? What if I don't sell that company? What if I don't make $1 million? What happens if I don't lose that 50 pounds? What then? What happens if they don't love me? What happens if I don't be who I'm meant to become? It's anxiety. So how we let that go in the future is we realize that right now we are enough. We are enough right now. And obviously there are daily designs and routines that we do to enable us to feel that way. And if we let go of the past and we forget about the future and focus on the present, Be the Bubble in this transparent sphere where we are the captain of our own ships, where we understand the mission and the purpose why we were born and we meant to be here right now with everything that's happened to us to be the best that we can be, we will live life. We will be happy. We will have that mindset where when there is love, we will be there. We will welcome that love. We will welcome that positivity. So that's a summary.
In the shortest amount of time as possible, but it does take a great deal of mental energy to be able to look at the past as something that we can learn a lesson from. Why do you think so many people hold on to resentment and hold on to the hurts from the past rather than look at them like lessons and learn to let them go?
Well, I think it's easier to be the victim. it's easier to say this happened to me and that's why I can't, or that's why I couldn't. It's easy. That anger emotion is probably the easiest emotion to feel. So that comes before the let go and being who I really am. It's easier.
So, for you, after you had this non-drug-induced psychedelic experience, did you continue to try to reach that place or to use meditation?
Yeah. So the last discovery of Be the Bubble is daily design. So everyone's different, and I created my own daily design, which I share with people when I speak and I do workshops and that type of thing. And my daily design is that every morning I get up and I pray. First of all, I pray with gratitude, with love, with acceptance. I do mindfulness and meditation, and I do activity. And those are my three things that gets me ready for the day, that puts that Be the Bubble mindset into my head, where whatever happens, I can face. Because whatever happens is meant to happen. And attached to that is that actually when I immigrated to, way after when I immigrated to Los Angeles 3 years ago, I had this commitment that I'm actually not in control of anything. And when you kind of push that away and you accept what comes, you have this mindset of openness, of acceptance, of that this happens to me for me, and I'm going to do the best that I can because it's here.
How would you consult someone who's rigidly stuck in that victim mentality? What would you say to them in order to help them release?
Well, I think we need to go to the reason of why they feel that way, and we need them to let it go. We need them to let it go by realizing that that happened for them, and what are the positivities and options and potential that it's created for them. You know?
Then how do you help someone who is fixated on the future and worried and wondering when the sky is going to fall the majority of the time? These are the types of clients that I see most often. They're either stuck in the past, fretting about the future, or they're doing both. So how do you get them to stop fretting about the future?
The easiest methodology is actually psychedelics and ketamine therapy.
Well, we're definitely going to get into that in the second half,
Yeah.
but give a little teaser so that people can look forward to the next half of this episode.
Just to add to that, provided that it's safe, because there's some obviously contraindications where it's not safe, obviously. So, just in my own personal experience, it took me about 12 years to understand, which is quite a short time if you think about the life journey. But from my incident, about 12 years to understand why it happened to me and what I need to do. With psychedelics and ketamine therapy, it's a much quicker time frame to realize that, I believe. Back then, ketamine and psychedelics were not really open in the world. They probably were doing it underground and that type of thing.
And in the 70s, for sure, in the 60s.
Yeah, but it wasn't open, or not, especially not where I was. But now it is, and I think that you can just reach that path much quicker and much sooner to understand why things happened, and also anatomically, scientifically, which we'll go into after the break, I believe. It's proven from the data that, from the research that's done.
So what is it about that gets people to stop ruminating about the future?
So, ketamine essentially, right, more specifically, blocks the NMDA receptor, the N-methyl D aspartate receptor, which flourishes the glutamate, which promotes neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity really is a rewiring of the brain. It allows us to change, adapt, to let go of things without doing anything else. Just the ketamine, which is, some say it's a miracle drug. So that kind of promotes symptoms of depression, anxiety, trauma, and more.
And so by blocking that, you are only in the present.
I think everyone reacts differently to certain things, but it allows one to accept what happened to them. That whatever happens to them, and now they're the victim. This happened to me, and I can't continue in life, and I'm depressed because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, or I'm worried about the future. It allows them to change the experience that they've had, so it allows them to let go and to just be in the present.
The letting go, I think, is the key. So we are going to get into that much more in the second half of this amazing episode. So thank you so much for joining us, and tune in next time for this second half of this episode with trauma survivor, healing innovator, and mental health trailblazer, Brad Silberman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning into the ANEW Insight Podcast. Please remember, the contents shared on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. You can find us anywhere podcasts are streaming, on YouTube at my.anew.insight and at anew-insight.com under the ANEW Insight Podcast tab. And follow us on our socials at my.anew.insight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more updates. Tune in next time and evolve with us.